Would you like to be a more happy, effective, and efficient homemaker? Well, you might want to consider changing what you wear. Say, what? Absolutely true. I've got some studies to back it up, and this actually goes for your kiddos as well. So be sure to stick around to the end because that one totally blew my mind, and I'm sure you probably have never heard of this study before. All right, to start off with, okay, this is common sense, but even though it may be common sense, a lot of us don't do it. And that is showing up for work every day. And I mean your work as a homemaker or as a homeschooler. Treat your valuable job like a real job. Well, whatever you mean by, by real, right? What the world thinks as real, right? Going to the office every day, showing up like would you go to the office in your pajamas, right? No, you would get up, you would prepare for the day, you would act like a professional, treat your job like the professional career that it is. So why don't we do this at home with the job we have as homemakers and homeschoolers? Because what you wear totally affects your homemaking mindset, totally affects everything, and it can totally change your entire home atmosphere. All right, just think about it, okay? Just think about it for a second. You know those mornings when you kind of sleep in and you stay in your pajamas for quite a bit of the day, if not all the day, or even just your comfy clothes, right? And compare how you do with your homemaking tasks or your homeschooling task to the days that you get up on time and you get dressed and you feel good about yourself. How much more do you get done that day? And better yet, like, how does that affect your attitude? Does that make you more happy and content and energetic? Like, energetic, focused, all these things that are great, but you might just be sabotaging yourself by being a little bit too comfy, if you know what I mean. Now, there's actually a psychological term for this, and it is called enclothed cognition. And I only recently realized that there was an actual name for this, and there have been multiple studies on this because it was something I was kind of figured out on my own when I was a younger homeschooler. And I started realizing just by living life that the days I, kind of just wore the comfy clothes, right? I just wasn't as efficient. I wasn't as happy, wasn't as disciplined. The kids didn't behave as well, and just everything kind of was off. You know what I mean? So I tried an experiment. Well, actually, I started reading some blogs of some mamas, some homeschooling mamas who actually wore skirts or dresses every day, and how it had just totally changed their homeschooling life, their homemaking life. And so I thought, well, I'll give that a try. And so I actually did start wearing skirts or dresses every day. I got up and, oh, if you follow the Fly Lady, oh, Fly Lady is brilliant for homemaking tips. But she recommends getting up every morning and getting dressed down to your shoes. So don't just, put on your dress or your skirt or just whatever outfit you feel good and confident in, like you are going to a job, and make sure that you have shoes on as well, because how you dress totally affects how you think about yourself, how you show up, how you perform, and how you do your most important job. So anyway, when I was that younger homeschooler, I actually just tried it out as an experiment. I said, I'll just try this for a week or a month or however long it was and see if it actually does make a difference. And it absolutely did. I was totally shocked at the difference it made in our family's life and atmosphere of the home. It was pretty incredible. Now, in 2010, there was a study that compared how people performed at work if they wore a uniform, if they dressed professionally, or if they did not, to test their cognitive ability, to see if what they wore affected their actual cognitive ability and abstract thinking. And the abstract thinking is what gives you a sense of power, which if you're a homemaker or homeschooler, a lot of times you feel like you have no power, right? So if you want to reclaim power back over your home as a queen of your home, keep listening. Okay, so that study was in 2010, and it did actually prove that what people wore totally affected their cognitive ability and their abstract reasoning and feelings of power. Then in 2012 was the scientific study that actually came up with the term enclothed cognition. And this one was pretty interesting because this one was actually testing their attention and focus. And oh boy, if you are a homeschooler or a homemaker, you know how much you can struggle with focus because there's so many distractions. Probably even in this video, I keep getting distracted. Okay, all right, back to the video. Okay, now in this study, the people were divided into 3 groups. The first group wore their normal clothes to take this test. The second and third groups actually both wore the same thing, a white lab coat, but the first group were told it was a doctor's coat. And the other group were told it was just a painter's coat. Same white lab coat, but one group was under the impression that it was a doctor's coat, and the other was under the impression that it was simply a painter's coat. So you can see where I'm going here, and this was pretty surprising and pretty interesting. Those who wore what they thought was a doctor's coat way outperformed those in normal clothes or the ones who thought it was simply a painter's coat. Not only were they able to do better on the test, but they finished faster. And wow, wouldn't we all want to finish our homemaking tasks a little faster? So really, a lot of it is just about perception, how they would perceive themselves. So how do you perceive yourself, right? Do you perceive yourself as just a stay-at-home mom who's just trying to get the kids to do their stuff and get through with their lessons for the day and just get through life, right? Or do you see yourself as a professional? Do you see your career as a homemaker as so valuable that you would get up in the morning at a certain time and treat it like a regular job? I mean, like challenge yourself to your time to get up, and what do you do in the morning? What's your morning routine, right? Is it exercising? Is it meditating? Is it prayer, journaling, having your cup of coffee, right? Just have that routine, and then you get dressed, you get a shower, you brush your teeth, you get out of those pajamas, get out of the yoga pants. Come on, we don't even need to go there, do we? Really? Get out of those. Put on a professional outfit, something you feel good in, right? Now, it might be a skirt or dress, or it just might be something that you feel like you're going to your career, your job that you are proud of and that you take seriously and that it's important to you. See yourself as wearing that doctor's lab coat, but as the equivalent, right, for a homemaker, right? And again, that might be a dress or skirt. It might be, but for sure, it's not pajamas or yoga pants. And again, when you stay in your pajamas or yoga pants or whatever it is you're used to wearing, baggy sweatshirts, right? Your brain has not made the switch from this is sleeping time to now this is work time. And we really need to give our brains that switch, right? It's really important. It just totally affects how you perform, how you think about yourself, perceive yourself, how you think about your kids, how you think about your day. So I really, really challenge you. Try it for a week. Just try it for a week, maybe try it for a month. And I guarantee you'll be shocked at the difference. Now, this is a really surprising thing that I really didn't realize till like yesterday. When I was looking up these studies, was that this applies to children as well. Someone's making some loud construction noise over there, so I'm gonna turn around here. This applies to your children as well. This kind of blew my mind because again, like when I was homeschooling, right, I made sure to watch what I wore, but I didn't realize how it affected my kids. But I think my husband did, actually. Now that I think about it, my husband, there was a period there where he had my kids wear school uniforms to show up to homeschool every day. I had totally forgotten about that, but there was a period where, when it was back to school time, we would just went to Target or wherever they were selling school uniforms, the little khaki skirts or the navy polos, and we just bought those for the kids. And they knew what to put on every morning. They knew that that was time to switch from the sleeping time to the school time. And that helped them to take themselves as students more seriously. Okay, I think I'm rambling again because I really, really have to tell you about this study that was really cool. And I think my mind was blown, and I think your mind is going to be blown too. So this study, actually there's been a couple studies on this, and it is called the Batman effect. The Batman effect. Pretty cool name, right? Okay, and one of the studies, it was a group of 4 to 6-year-olds, and they were divided into 3 groups. One just wore their normal clothes. The second were told to see themselves as someone else watching them, with kind of a third person viewing yourself from the outside as you take this test. It was a test they had to take. Actually, what it was like really difficult puzzles, and one was like unlocking locks with keys and stuff, and like they were either very difficult or impossible. Just kind of cruel, I think, to test kids that way, but I digress. Okay, so first group, regular clothes. Second group were told to perceive themselves as someone else looking at them from the outside. The third group got to go pick a dress-up costume from the box, and they got to be their favorite superhero character or Disney princess, right? They could be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Disney princess, Dora the Explorer, any of those that they looked up to. Okay, so they were all given these puzzles and tasks that were very difficult, if not impossible. The group who just wore their normal clothes did the worst. It was interesting because not only did they give up faster, but they were talking to themselves, right? Because kids, they'll do their self-talk out loud. And when you're over 50, you do your self-talk out loud. Anyway, they will self-talk out loud so they could hear what they were thinking and telling themselves. And their self-talk was like, I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I'm not old enough to do this. Self-defeating talk like that, okay? That was pretty mind-blowing, that this is the way normal kids talk to themselves and normal adults. But like, where did they hear that from, right? From their peers, from their parents, right? That's why it's so important that we have to watch, 1, what we say to them, and 2, what we're saying to ourselves, because they'll just copy and get what we say to ourselves, our self-talk, when we're talking out loud to ourselves. Okay, that second group who did that self-distancing, where they were like outside observers watching themselves do the task, they actually did 13% better. And they were able to stick with the tasks for longer. Because again, that's like self-perception, right? If you see someone watching you, you're going to do better. You're going to show up the best you're able to do. Okay, so now the mind-blowing part. Group 3, the third group of kids who got to wear their favorite superhero outfit, they way outperformed the other 2 groups. They stuck with it longer. Not only did they stick with it longer, but they had to be pulled away. Some of them had to be pulled away to stop because they didn't want to give up. And their self-talk was like, oh, you can do this. Batman wouldn't give up. Dora's got this, right? You can do this. You can do anything, right? Just put your mind to it, you can do it. Superman can do this, he can do anything, right? This is what they were telling themselves, and they were perceiving themselves, identifying with their superheroes, which totally changed how they did. They did way better and lasted way longer. So yeah, maybe watch what you have your kids wear, right? Do they have a school uniform, or at least something that's clean and nice and not their pajamas, right? Where they don't feel like they're a student. And maybe even more importantly is how you talk to them so that they can see themselves as valuable, important, intelligent, and that they can do it. Don't tell them they're too young or they can't do that yet, right? Encourage them and they can exceed your expectations. So how do you perceive yourself? Do you see yourself as the queen of your home, doing a valuable job with eternal significance? Or do you just see yourself as just trying to make it through another day? And however you see yourself, that is how you'll be. And the easiest way of changing your self-perception and the job you do is just change how you show up, change how you dress. It could be that simple. For sure, it's a great starting point, right? Start your day with purpose, like you're going to a real job, because your job is valuable, it's significant, more than almost any other job you could have. Your kids are valuable, your home is valuable, right? Take it seriously. Take it seriously, more seriously than if you were going to a real job. Well, there I go, real job again. Job outside the home. More seriously than if you're going to a job outside the home, because it is that important. And when you show up as your best self, right, it affects the entire atmosphere of your home. And your children will start showing up as their best selves. It's contagious. So don't feel hopeless, like there's nothing you can do or you're stuck in a certain situation, because you absolutely have power and control over the atmosphere of your home. You can change things. You can totally turn things around. You can change the whole atmosphere of your home and be that homemaker or homeschooler that you've always dreamed of. So thanks so much for spending time with me today. If you got value out of this, please like and subscribe and share it with somebody you think it might help. And have an absolutely beautiful day.